The first time I laid eyes on that behemoth of a white RV parked smack dab in the middle of my lake cabin lot, I honestly thought I must have missed a detour and wound up in a campground by mistake. I mean, we're talking the size of a small motel, satellite dish perched up top, the big fold-out canopy unfurled, lawn chairs lined up like they were expecting a crowd, and smoke curling up from a little grill by the shoreline. But the kicker wasn't the RV itself. Nah, what really threw me was who popped out of it. Because the last person I expected to see stepping out with a cold glass of lemonade and a pair of sunglasses like she owned the whole horizon was Karen Reynolds. If you've lived in any neighborhood with an HOA, you know the type. Always got a clipboard, always got something to say about your grass length or your mailbox color. But this time, she looked me up and down, took a long sip, and said, "You can't own a view, sweetheart." That's the line that did it. I mean, I tried to keep my cool. I even tried to be polite at first, told her straight up that she was on my property, and, politely, she needed to move. But Karen just smirked, acting like she was the queen of Whispering Pines, and the lake was her backyard. Well, I wasn't about to let that stand, so I called the tow company. And, let me tell you, half the neighborhood came out just to watch what would happen. The driver, he hesitated, of course. Nobody wants to be the one to haul off Karen's home on wheels. But I flashed my badge, Highway Patrol, silver emblem catching the sun just so, and suddenly, the rules felt a lot less bendy to everybody. Karen lost it. She came barreling out, screaming that she'd sue us all, waving her HOA rulebook like it was a sword. "The HOA has jurisdiction," she yelled. But before I could even argue back, there was a loud crack. The tow chain snapped, the RV jerked forward, and for a second, I swear, time just froze. The thing rolled straight toward the lake, and Karen's face went sheet white. And that, right there, was the day I realized this was more than just a squabble over where to park. No, this was the beginning of a mess that would uncover a hidden plan, a forged map, and the ugly truth about who actually owned these lakeside lots. While I watched that RV teeter at the edge of the water, with Karen wailing like a banshee and half the neighborhood glued to the drama, I just knew we were all in for one hell of a ride. Let me back up a second. This mess really started a few months before, when I inherited the cabin from my uncle. He was a quiet man, liked his peace and the scent of pine, lived out here off the grid for years. Whispering Pines, that's the name of the place. Beautiful spot, tucked away with cedar trees and water so still it looked painted some mornings. But the HOA? Well, they ran things like their own little government. Fines for mailboxes, threats over firewood stacks. You know the drill. Thing is, I was hardly ever around, what with being on patrol so much. And that, looking back, was mistake number one. One weekend, I finally make it out to the cabin. Soon as I hit that familiar dirt road, I noticed something off. Tire tracks, big ones, and the grass is all flattened. Then, boom, there's that RV like it sprouted up overnight, portable fence and all. HOA approved area sign stuck in the dirt. I laugh, thinking I'm seeing things. Next thing I know, Karen herself waltzes out in flip-flops and this giant sun hat, waving a clipboard. "Oh, you must be the contractor. You're late, we're hosting a barbecue here next week." That's when I told her, politely at first, "Ma'am, I think you're confused. This isn't the HOA's lot. It's mine." She just laughed like I'd told the world's lamest joke. "According to our new boundary map, this is communal property," she said. "New map, huh?" I felt my blood pressure tick up a notch. See, I had the original deed. Uncle's name on it. Taxes paid every year. Karen just rolled her eyes. Over the next week, she went full invasion mode. Her family camped out, cars everywhere, kids playing frisbee. Every time I showed up, she gave me that smug, "You can't touch this" look. I tried to be reasonable. I brought the deed, laid it out in black and white. She wouldn't even look at it. "This isn't the Wild West, cowboy," she sneered. Little did she know who she was talking to. So, I went by the book. Started documenting. Photos, timestamps, even video of her family using my lot like their own private resort. Sent everything to the county land office and the sheriff. Meanwhile, Karen strutted around telling everyone she'd won another one. But what really set me off? One day I showed up and she drilled a metal stake into the ground, laminated flag waving, HOA territory. That's when I decided, enough is enough. Next stop was the HOA office. Mr. Thompson, the president, looked like a man who'd seen too many HOA wars. Sir, technically, that's private land. Karen went rogue, he said, looking like he needed a vacation and a stiff drink. So Karen was making up her own rules. Lucky for me, I knew a little something about the law. I made a few quiet calls, called in a tow, and brought a county officer just to back it up. When Karen saw my badge, she lost her composure for the first time. Still, she barked, "You think the HOA doesn't protect its own?" I just told her, this isn't an HOA matter. It's state law. But when the tow hooked up, chaos erupted. Chain snapped. RV almost in the lake. Karen screaming, crowd gawking, her husband yelling, kids peeking out windows. Eventually, after a ton of shouting and 2 broken straps, we got the RV back on solid ground. People clapped, some sarcastically, some genuine. Karen, though, was out for blood. She marched right up, finger jabbing. This isn't over. You assaulted private property. The HOA will hear about this. Good, I shot back. Tell them I'll be waiting. Then I headed for the county clerk's office. Needed to make sure the deed was still good. The clerk, a young woman with tired eyes, scrolled through digital records. Nope, this lot's never been HOA property. You're clear. Turns out, the HOA had been creatively expanding their boundaries. Karen wasn't working alone. That night, I watched from my car as Karen's RV lights flickered on again. She hadn't left. She was still out there, talking to someone on her phone. Around 10 p.m., a black SUV pulled up. Out steps Gregory Mason, HOA vice president, folder in hand. They talked, exchanged documents. I snapped photos. Whatever this was, it ran deeper than HOA ego. The next day, there's a new chain link fence, a hand-painted HOA recreation zone sign. Karen had doubled down. Now it was an official campground. I called a friend at the sheriff's office, Deputy Miller, and laid it out. He chuckled. You sure know how to pick your battles, Mark. I'll run that SUV's plate. When the results came back, everything clicked. Gregory Mason had been signing off on new map revisions, targeting lots like mine. Karen was no lone wolf. She was working a land grab scam, grabbing supposedly inactive lots for the HOA. People in the community started whispering, some secretly rooting for me, others too scared to speak. The next time I went out, the RV was gone, but the fence was still there. Fresh tire tracks led into the woods. I followed, and there it was, the RV hidden. Generator running, Gregory and Karen standing by the door, folder open. I watched and snapped photos as they discussed listing the lot as a community extension. Once the new bylaws are approved, no one can contest it, Gregory said. Just don't let anyone dig through old deeds. I took my evidence to Miller, who whistled. Looks like we've got ourselves a proper land scam. But he wanted something public. We'll need them to make a move first. Something they can't cover up. 3 days later, I got my chance. A flyer for a big HOA picnic, celebrating new lakefront expansion. Karen and Gregory, front and center. They planned to unveil my land as their expansion. On the big day, I showed up with Miller and all my evidence. Balloons, barbecue. Karen in a pastel dress acting like everyone's best friend, Gregory smug beside her. Welcome, neighbors. Our lakefront is expanding. But when I announced, actually, this is my land, and your documents are fake, the whole crowd gasped. Karen's face went red. We've managed this land for years, she sputtered. Miller stepped up, badge shining. Ma'am, we're opening an investigation into property fraud. Gregory tried to bluff, but he was shaking. And when Miller pulled out the proof, the maps, the photos, the emails, chaos broke loose. Neighbors started shouting, accusing, some realizing they'd been paying fees on a lie. But here's the twist. Karen and Gregory weren't the top of the food chain. That night, my shed got broken into. Inside, among the mess, I found Karen's old clipboard, notes about Phase 2 expansion, even my name underlined. Hold for transfer after approval. Someone else was pulling strings. Then came the storm, the night Karen herself showed up at my dock, soaked and terrified, whispering that Gregory was just a middleman, that people were disappearing, that I was in danger now too. Before I could process that, black SUVs rolled up outside my cabin. Men in dark clothes, guns drawn, closing in. I led them on a wild chase through the woods, bullets flying, rain pouring, all the while clutching the folder. Karen handed me evidence of bribes, shell companies, offshore accounts, and names, so many names, including my own boss. We hid under an abandoned ranger station dock while our pursuers circled. Karen finally admitted her late husband tried to blow the whistle before he died in a car accident. They'd gotten to him, and now, maybe, they'd get to us too. We made a break for it in the old fishing boat, ducked through a narrow tunnel my uncle showed me as a kid, dodged bullets and searchlights, and somehow, by dumb luck, adrenaline, and a little help from the storm, made it to shore. At dawn, we trekked through the woods, called in a favor to the State Integrity Bureau. Benton, an old friend, told us to meet him 3 hours north. Bring the files, don't trust anyone. On the drive, Karen flipped through the evidence. Not just property records, bribe lists, officials, even my old supervisor. That's how they always knew my schedule, my routes. The betrayal stung. Worse than the wound I'd picked up in the shootout. I realized this was never just about my land, or Karen, or the HOA. It was about power, corruption, the kind that runs so deep you don't see it. Till it bites. Of course, Gregory wasn't done. He boxed us in one last time, SUVs on both sides. But this time, Benton and his State Bureau guys swooped in. Helicopters, sirens, the whole show. Gregory and his crew tried to run, but there was nowhere left to go. As they slapped cuffs on him, he spat. You think you've won? This never ends. He's right, you know. Corruption never dies, it just hides, waits for the next storm. As I watched the sun rise over the lake, Karen beside me, bruised but alive, I couldn't help but wonder, what would you have done? Would you fight back? Or walk away? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And while you're at it, share your own stories. Because in this world, sometimes the only thing standing between justice and the shadows is someone willing to risk everything for the truth.